Hey, and welcome back to American English Podcast. Today I'm going to tell you about one of the shittiest jobs that I have ever had. Also, before I start, the visuals we are fixing, so if you hate it, stay tuned to the next one. It hopefully gets better. I am learning in this podcast experience, so let's start. You know in the stories like Little Red Riding Hood, where the mother told the child not to stray off the path and talk to the wolf? Like when your parents explicitly tell you not to do something and you do it anyway. Well, that's exactly what I did, but it wasn't really my parents, it was a friend. So I had this girl that I was friends with in a group of friends, and she was talking to me about jobs because I was wondering what it was like to be a waitress. I hadn't officially done it before, so I was like, this might be a cool idea. You guys seem to make a lot of money. Like, what's it like? And you dress cute. So then this friend went on to tell me that she worked at this place and made a lot of money over the summer, like $1,000 a night kind of thing. And I was like, oh my God, tell me about this place. What's it like? Did you like it? And she's like, She didn't exactly want to tell me what went wrong in this place or say anything bad about it, just because I guess she's scared of the guy who owns it. So I'm not really going to name any names, but let's just kind of get into this. So when she told me about the money involved, how easy it kind of was, but just that the boss treated her badly, and she wasn't really sure if it was a misunderstanding with the boss or what went on. But she thought the girls were also, some of them were really nice and some of them she didn't get along with. So it was kind of a high school vibe. So I was like, high school, this kind of sounds fun. Let's see. So I didn't really do anything about it at that time. I kind of forgot the name of the place and everything. So I went on to go look for other jobs in different places, restaurants, retail, that kind of thing. But since I'm not your typical perfect worker like they want us to be, it was kind of hard for me to find a job, honestly. I blame some racism things within that. Not that like I'm not white or anything. I mean, just some companies, because they're immigrant made, only want their own immigrants in it. So for example, I was about to get hired for an Indian food restaurant, but since I wasn't Indian and I couldn't speak Hindi, that didn't exactly help them. So they wanted to support their own people, and that happens a lot. But since my family has a Portuguese background, I found it easy getting jobs with Italians and Greeks and similar Mediterranean countries, because they had clients that were from Portugal and I could speak Portuguese, so that definitely helped. But anyway, let's get back into this. So then there was a job opening, a lot of them within this company, and I was like, it's a fancy restaurant, it's in a nice area, people spend a lot of money, they give good tips, let's see what it's like. So I walked in and I saw some not white people, and I also saw some white girls, and I was like, okay, you guys kind of seem nice, it seems fun. I saw the bartenders talking to the waitresses and it seemed like a good vibe. So then I went in. The girl who I was originally supposed to have the interview with wasn't there, but then another guy was, and he's actually nicer, and I got along with him really well, so that's why I got hired. So the big thing here is that if the person who's hiring you likes you, you get the job. If they kind of vibe with your personality, you get it. If you have some experience, that's even a bonus. But that's not to say that your job will be smooth, because that hiring manager might not always be there for you. And that's kind of what happened in my case. Like, this hiring manager really liked me, but like the other girls didn't really like him for some reason, and I still can't understand why. Like, he was so nice. So I went for the interview, it was all fine and dandy, and then he said he'd call me back, and then he did for another interview, and then I got in. So that was pretty simple. I was just my authentic self. I wasn't lying. I wasn't pretending to be somebody I'm not. Like, I talk like I talk, and I look how I look, and I always look cute, unless I'm rocking that hobo chic, you know what I mean? But yeah, it went well. One thing that I noticed right away was that the girls don't stay long, and that was something they all warned me about. Like, they put you on probation, so they give you a few weeks to get trained and then to see how you do with the waitressing and everything, but it was very high-tech because it was a rich place. So I had to learn how to do this high-tech system of ordering on like a little tablet. And it wasn't as easy as it sounds. It was very difficult to do it quickly. Like, you have to do it in like 10 seconds, find everything on a very complicated menu. I'm not complaining because I learned it, but I definitely get freaked out if people start yelling at me. And that's exactly what the boss did. Like, I was watching the boss for the first few days. He was walking around, he was being all chill, and I was like, oh no, he's chill, like, I don't say anything bad. And then it happened. The thing about this boss is that when I would do stuff, he would always be watching, which obviously you should be, you're a boss, but also he wasn't very understanding, which was the worst part. So for a girl who's never actually opened a bottle of wine, in a split second to pull the cap off, just with a little wine screw, like a corkscrew, that was actually very hard for me. I didn't live in a household that drank wine often. I didn't have access to liquor to practice, nor am I gonna be wasting bottles of wine trying to open them. So for me, that was very hard, and for him, he didn't care. Like, I couldn't do it the first time I tried. I struggled. I got the client to help me, and that looked unprofessional, so that was a point down for Bella. And then I talked really nice with the customers. I spoke to them in Spanish and in Portuguese and in French when they came, so that was really good for me. But I wasn't doing what the other girls were doing, and I wasn't about to do it either. Like, the other girls, a lot of them were single, were young, fun, like to party, like to drink, but me, I'm engaged. Like, I'm not gonna be doing that. And then that was kind of like a downfall, because they would bond by staying after hours or going on their days off and drinking, or like getting together and smoking behind the building or something. And like, I'm not gonna do that. That was just not my thing. I was there to work, to be friendly, and like to leave. I wanted to leave quickly. That's one thing that gave me, I think, a little bit less money, because the clients would be all friendly, like nicey nice with the girls, and then they would give them more. They would tip them more if they drank with them or if they smoked with them without the boss seeing. So that was a downer for me too. Like, I wasn't exactly the type of person that was perfect for that job. I was good in that I knew how to talk, I knew how to dress, and I knew how to deal with different personalities, but I wasn't good in that I'm not that young, crazy party person. It was just not a good situation. So my advice, honestly, is if you're gonna be a server, really know what kind of place it is, who the owner is, how the management is, and if you like being in that environment with those kind of people or not, because the environment really does affect you. Make sure you're prepared to be standing long hours, to be carrying plates of food with good balance, to be able to memorize things very quickly and speak well, because if you don't, you're not gonna make it. Not to say that I made it either, but not that I wanted to. So into the next part of the story. After being at the first location, I realized that they weren't giving me hours. They did this like sneaky sly thing by keeping you on so it doesn't look bad that they fired you, but not ever letting you work. So they never would put me on, and I'd be like scheduled, and then an hour before they would cancel. And that happened for like 2 weeks. And I'm like, okay, if I don't work, I don't make money. So give me to the other location where they actually need people and the girl seems decently nice, and maybe I'll be okay. Wrong. Like, that girl and me did not get along. I tried to be nice. I tried to talk to her about things, but in the end of it, like, we were just two different people. Like, we didn't have the same kind of mindset. We couldn't talk. This is where I find that cultural differences are huge. Like, there's some people I get along with really well because we were raised kind of similar, and some people that are just off the deep end, like drinking, bad habits, gambling, things like that. I do not get along with those people because I have nothing to do with that life. Like, I don't do the party thing, so there was no way. It's not like we got into fights all the time or anything, but when she would like tell me to do something that wasn't part of my job description, I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. And she's like, we all gotta pitch in. And I'm like, are you paying me to do that extra? No, then I'm not doing it. Like, it was crazy things like shoveling the snow in the front of the building when there was a blizzard. Like, I'm in a cute little dress with pantyhose under, in like heels, and you want me to change all my clothes to go outside and do it, or go outside and do it just with a jacket on, with my shoes getting all wet, like the other girls do. Like, no, I'm not about to do that. I'm here to serve and to talk to the customers and to deal with the kitchen. I am not going outside to clean. Like, no sirree, Bob. So that was one thing I was like, no. And for that reason, 1 point down for Bella again. And the other girls were like, sure, yeah, whatever you need, like the nicest girls. And I'm like, you guys are really nice, but you guys are also really stupid. Like, you're going out there, you're doing whatever is not part of your job, you're getting all wet, you're getting sick. Like, this is not what you should be doing. That's not your problem. Let the bartender do it. Let the men do it. Like, why are we doing this? But of course, that's not the mentality the manager had, so it didn't go my way. One really positive thing about being able to work with a bunch of young girls was making friends. Like, it was actually fun. I loved going because I could talk to the girls and talk about girly things like I would in high school, and it was nice. Like, we had teenagers, we had young adults too. It was a good place for that. So I would also teach people things and, learn things about life from other perspectives, and that was great. But of course, we're not supposed to be talking, even when it's dead. Like, we're always supposed to look like we're doing something, just so we look like we're working, so we never stop working. But that's ridiculous. Like, in my opinion, if there's actually legitimately nothing really important to do, you shouldn't be doing anything. Like, they just say, go walk around, see if you need to clean anything, go check the garbages, go do this and that, just to look busy. And I'm just like, this is ridiculous, it's a waste of time. But of course, I'm too laid back, I'm too relaxed. That's why people don't like to hire me. I'm not the 24/7 really hard worker when there's nothing to do. I'm sorry. If there's something to do, okay, I'll do it, and I'll do it well. But if you want me to invent things to look like I'm busy, to do jobs I'm not supposed to do, like dishwashing and cleaning, that's not my problem. I'm sorry, that's not my problem. So if you're not paying me for 2 jobs, I'm not doing it. This is honestly such an honest perspective of how I felt as a waitress. I would cry some nights. Like, I would come home crying that they said something really bad to me or mean, or like would just lash out at me for not doing something like this example right here of being dead and me not doing anything. It's like, if I have nothing to do, I'm not gonna do anything. I just felt really misunderstood at times, and like they treated us badly. Like porcelain dolls to be able to look pretty and sell things, and also slaves at the same time to do everything they need. But that's the life of an employee. Like, you get treated like that at a lot of jobs. It's not good, but that's what happens. So if you're someone who is going to be employed by America or Canada in any of those minimum wage jobs, this could be a harsh reality that you face. Like, if you want the money, you gotta do whatever they say to get the money. And I'm not for that life. So I'm so much more happy doing this on my own with the help of my fiance, who is a marketing genius. So for those of you who do not want to step into this shitty hole that I was in when I was working in Canada, just to be able to make the minimum to be able to eat and survive and pay gas, then I suggest you go the digital nomad route or just the digital marketing route and be able to sell things online. So I'm not an expert in this field. I'm definitely not a marketing nerd, but I'm gonna explain to you what I do know. So for digital marketing, it's an amazing opportunity to be able to work from wherever you want, and you decide how long you wanna work, how hard you wanna work, and how much money you wanna make. So that's the best part. If you know the strategies on how to sell things, you can sell them much easier. Like, you think selling things is easy. You just say, hey guys, I'm selling like TVs. Are you guys interested? Just to everybody you know, right? But no, there's like an actual psychological science behind this. And once you finally figure out how to do it and how it's going to work for you and your product, it's like the world is open and you make money instantly. It's so freaking easy. Like, there is no more need for sugar daddies. There is no more need to be working long hours just to be able to make a bit of money, like at a warehouse, for example. If you can do digital marketing, you literally sit at a desk, if you want, or in a bed, or at the beach, or on a boat, and do your job. As long as you have internet and you have the resources to be able to do this, like to study, for example, Seminarios Online, then you know what to do. That is basically the base of my job. I teach English, but I have to do it online, so I have to promote myself, which means I need to know digital marketing. So having an assistant with that 24/7 beside me, advising me on what to do and how to do it, is the only way I've been able to make this successful. So if you want to break free of that employee cycle, if you want to just make your own money, then send me a message on WhatsApp and talk to me, and then I'll connect you with my fiance that's going to explain everything to you. And doing it in English, you can make so much more money, honestly, because people in these English countries have more to spend because of their economy. So I'm gonna say, enough said. While we're on the topic of bad situations at work, let me talk to you about my job that I can actually name because there's so many of them at McDonald's. So my friend needed someone to work, well, my friend at the time needed someone to work at McDonald's, right? Because they were short on staff, because nobody wanted to work there. I wonder why. And then I was like, you know what? I might try this. I've never worked like an official, real job for a huge company like this, so I might as well try. And he's like, are you sure? Because it's kind of hard, like you're cleaning. And I'm like, no, I cleaned with my mom growing up. I know how to clean. And he's like, yeah, it's overnight. And I'm like, that's great. I can go to school during the day and I can clean at night. And he's like, yeah, that's what I do. So let's do it then. I'll get you in. And then I went for the interview. The boss liked me, put me in right away. So then I started. Was it good money? Yes. It was all right. It was all right because I got paid overtime and I also got paid overnight. So that was really good. But was the job worth it? Like, hell the crap no. Like, no. Why would anybody in their right mind do this job? I don't know. Like being a McDonald's cashier and like taking the money, giving them the food at the front, that's good. Being the window girl and dealing with all the drive-through things, that's also not bad. Or even the drink person making them at cafes and stuff. But my position, as well as I think the line cooks, have the worst job because they have to put together the disgusting food and I have to clean up after the disgusting food. Like, it was so disgusting, oh my God. I can't even tell you. And me, can you like, me, cleaning like disgusting things? No, like I was used to cleaning offices with paper and dust. Not like food and grease and ugh. Imagine just what goes on in McDonald's and you already have an idea, but it's worse than I imagined. Worse! And I honestly was getting sick from it, so that's why I quit after 2 months. I got really, really, really sick. I was like vomiting and dizzy because I ingested the oil that was dirty when I was cleaning because we had to put really boiling water and chemicals and steam to be able to lift the grease off of everything, and that's what went into my system, and I felt sick for weeks. And the doctor just said it was your job, like you can't do that, you need to be wearing a mask, like an actual mask with a filter to be able to do that. And I'm like, if I can't breathe in there because it's so hot, as if I'm gonna be wearing a mask, like I'm not doing this. So in the end, I was a little too delicate and sensitive for that job, if I do say so myself. But the people were nice, I can say that. Me, the biggest thing is always the people and the vibe, you know what I mean? So there were some younger people in there, students, people that I know from different communities, and that was okay, but they were during the day. So I would only get to talk to them for like an hour. At night, it was only me and 1 or 2 other cleaners, that of which I didn't always get along with. So me, being a girl that doesn't lift many weights, could not pick up like a 50-pound thing of oil. Like I just couldn't do it. I couldn't pick up a really heavy like stainless steel pieces of this machinery to be able to fry food. I couldn't. I needed help. And those that were around me, some of them were really nice and helped me. And other ones were just like, why don't you learn how to do it yourself? And I'm like, I physically can't. And then I would almost get hurt trying to do it. So people are really important in your job. You need supportive, helpful, nice people that you get along with. Because if not, your job is so much harder. Let's talk about washing dishes. So I would have to wash so many dishes. Not that McDonald's gives you dishes to eat on, but like, you know, the pots, the pans, the knives, the things that they cook with in the back, that's what I would be washing, and it would be full of grease, let me tell you, full. And then because we don't have that much time to do it, we didn't even wash it well, which is the worst part. Like I tried so hard to do my job well and I couldn't because I only had maybe 2 hours to wash dishes, and it's a job for 4 hours. 4 hours of me being soaking wet with boiling water, with freezing water, with different chemicals, trying to get grease off that doesn't come off. In the end, what we do is we pass soap over it quickly and then we just pressure wash it off and that's it. Like, it's so gross. At least this was my location story. I'm totally like spilling the tea on everything McDonald's. I'm so sorry if I've scarred you for life. Obviously, this is just one job's hygiene practice. Like McDonald's is a huge franchise that's owned by a bunch of people. So, you know, the odds that all of them are like this are probably low. But the good thing was that I got free meal. Like, that I did take. They were really strict on making sure that their employee code of conduct was good and that when the daytime people were there actually watching what was happening, everyone was treated well. So in those hours, if you ever had a problem, you go to the manager and you complain and they fix it. The biggest thing I think that happened to me, other than getting extremely sick and wearing a really ugly uniform, let me tell you, the uniform, like they got us to wear these gross black pants, which I didn't buy because I was at night, so I just wore whatever black pants that I had, which got ruined. And I had my favorite pair of Chucks, like my black high top Converse that were all black, that also got ruined. And then I wore sweaters because it was freezing half the time. Like I would wear the McDonald's t-shirt and then a sweater over it. And all of those clothes that I wore to that job are now in the garbage, because it doesn't matter how many times you wash something that smells of oil and grease, it will not come out. And the grease would not come out my shoes either. So there I am wearing some clothes that I know isn't the best clothes I have, but I was still really upset about those Chucks. Like I still kind of want them, and I threw them out because they were horrible. Like I need to buy another pair. But anyway, the worst part I think for me, because this place was, I'm such like a shit for racism. Like I cannot tolerate it. Racism and lies are two things I cannot deal with. So this place had mostly people, like the owner was Indian from India, and then there were also some Filipinos working in there too. And because they couldn't really figure out who I was, I mean culturally, by how I looked, they always just assume. And that's like the worst thing, when you just assume, because then I feel bad and you feel bad and everyone feels awkward. So like they would just talk to me in their native tongues, and I'm like, I don't speak Tagalog, I don't speak Hindi, I don't speak Urdu either. They would just talk to me and like yell at me and expect me to understand in the morning. And then I would just be like, I'm sorry, what did you say? And then they would repeat it again. And then I'd be like, huh? And they'd be like, you're not Punjabi? And I'm like, no. And then they would look at me with this ugly face like, like, oh, like you're not one of us, like we don't like you. And these were like older ladies too, so I don't know if it's like a thing about being stuck in their ways or what, but like, guys, wake up. You're in Canada. This place is full of immigration. Your country might not be like that, but ours is. So you have to treat people with decency and respect. Like I don't really care. I'm gonna treat you nicely. I'm gonna speak nicely. I'm not gonna be rude unless you're really rude first. And that's what they did. So I would ask like, hey, are you guys ready to cook? Like, are we starting cooking? Like, what do you want me to do? They're like, you should know what to do. Like a bunch of attitude. And I'm like, no, I'm new. I don't really know what to do. Did the other person that was cleaning at night clean this section? And then they're like, ask him. And I'm like, but you're right here watching everything happening. And then they're like, that's not my job. And I'm like, okay, so do you have any food ready that I could maybe eat? Because I'm really hungry when it came closer to the time that they were opening. And they're like, no, not ready yet. And then just, they were really like short with me, just like, you know, like cutting everything off, and they wouldn't really want to communicate anything, even if I needed them to. I'm like, can I clean your section? Like I didn't get to it yet. And they're like, you had all night. And it's like, yeah, but I have to clean the whole restaurant, the front, the middle, and the back, and outside. I actually had to go outside and sweep everything up. Like that's a normal thing that we know, but like doing it in winter when it was getting cold, like I was there in, I think August, September, October, that type of area, and it was getting cold and frosty. There was ice out there a lot of the time. So doing that job is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. So if you're ever thinking about being an overnight cleaner at McDonald's, make sure you're somebody strong and who is able to tolerate all the chemicals and the scents, and maybe even some rude people. Unfortunately, that does happen. But anyway, that's enough of my work stories. I'm very happy to say that those are the only 2 work stories that I have that were like disasters. McDonald's definitely worse than the other one that I shall not name, but the pay was good, but it was not worth what I had to endure for myself. Like I was not very happy with what it was in comparison to what I was getting back. So that's why I stopped working. But yeah, if you guys are interested in that digital marketing thing, digital nomad, if you want to know how to sell things, make money without having to work for anybody, then definitely contact me on WhatsApp telling me that you want to talk to Astru, that's his name, and he can guide you in that whole process, because God knows, I don't know enough about that yet. especially in Spanish, oh my lord. But if your first language is Spanish, it will be a lot easier for you. You can also do it in English. But, you just need to want to do it. You gotta want to make money. Like, get that hustle, baby. Okay, that's all. That's all from me. All right, peace, guys. I will see you in the next podcast story time. All right, bye.